Tonight, Rangers and their fans are on their way to Spain. The scramble to get to Seville is underway as the team reaches their first European final in 14 years.
I was crying. I'm not crying now. This is the best day of my life.
Oh, honest to God, man. That was just beautiful. I never dreamt to get back to the European final. I'll get my flights booked.
It starts with belief, so do we believe we can win the final? Of course we can win the final.
The winners and losers in the council elections will bring you all the latest.
And here on the Isle of Lewis, I speak to locals as they attend a special screening of The Road Dance, a movie shot right here on their doorstep. Are you not meant to be in the studio?
I'm Vanessa Kennedy in Edinburgh.
And I'm Gordon Cree in Glasgow. This is the STV News at 6. Good evening. The stampede for tickets has begun after Rangers secured their place in their first European final for 14 years. The scramble to get to Seville is also underway as thousands head to Spain hoping to see their team make history.
It's a huge moment for Rangers. A team who just 9 years ago were in Scotland's bottom league is a huge moment for Scottish football. Ibrox was literally bouncing last night as the final whistle was blown, as our chief reporter Sharon Frew reports.
Rangers are going to the Europa League final!
The roar at final whistle after an historic European night.
Get ready, Seville!
The reaction from fans had Ibrox quite literally rocking at full time. Outside the stadium, jubilation after a nail-biting 90 minutes. Punt.
That was just beautiful.
I was crying. I'm not crying now. This is the best day of my life.
I was in Manchester 2008, my boy, when he was 8. I never dreamt to get back to the European final.
We'll definitely be gone.
The manager is predicting a Rangers invasion of Seville.
It doesn't matter how many hours they have to fly or to walk or go with the bikes. I don't know. Maybe swim. Some will swim.
This lunchtime, fans were still singing. While there were a few sore heads, minds are firmly fixed on making travel plans.
I'm going to Lanzarote for a few days, then Lanzarote to Seville, and I can't believe I'm buzzing.
We've been making plans, we've got prices, so when he speaks to his wife, we're booking it. I've already spoke to mine, so...
I'll not miss it, so I'm like, ticket or not, I'm still going. Same as my mate, flying to Faro, then get a train across to Seville.
It'll be unreal. I seen a guy in here earlier on with the Seville 2022 in his shop already.
Travel agents say that scramble for flights, tickets and accommodation began minutes after the final whistle. They have been fielding hundreds of calls. Plans are also being drawn up to charter flights direct to Seville.
The phones have been going crazy. Safe to say people are definitely finding creative ways to get to Seville, or at least get to the surrounding areas. The most popular route for us just now has been direct flights into Malaga or direct flights into Faro, which is just under a 2-hour coach journey away.
So we've actually got clients who are going to be in resort, actually in Tenerife at the time of the match, and we are currently looking at for them to fly them from Tenerife over to Seville and then go back to their existing holiday a couple of days later. So I think people are just very much on the mindset that they want to be there no matter what, whether they're on holiday, whether they are currently at home or even working. I think a lot of bosses will be feeling the calls today that saying there is some annual leave to be authorised.
Manchester 2008 was the last time Rangers booked a place in a European final. This man played that night and he's confident the current team can bring back the trophy.
The boys give themselves an opportunity to go down as serious legends, you know, and I'm lucky enough to look back on probably the Rangers fans remember you for winning. I think if you can win and then you almost become part of that history, and these players have got that opportunity. So listen, I'll be having everything crossed for them when obviously the 18th of May comes.
Great numbers will go without tickets, just to be in the city, just to be around a cup final, just to to experience that moment.
All roads now lead to Seville, where in this stadium in 12 days' time, Rangers could write a new chapter in the European history books.
Well, excitement is definitely building already up to that big day. We heard there from some fans about the atmosphere inside this stadium last night. One man who was there for us was Rahman. Rahman, what was it like?
Sharon, it was extraordinary. European nights here at Ibrox are always a bit special, but last night it was off the scale. There was a noise level I'd never heard before, and as each goal went in, it got louder and louder, and then when the Portuguese referee blew for full time, there was an outpouring of emotion both on the pitch and in the stands. And then as the supporters made their way to the exits, I tried to grab a word with some of them. There was an older chap who was in tears. There was another guy who couldn't get his words out. It really was quite an extraordinary night.
Sum up the scale of this achievement.
It's massive, Sharon. Scottish clubs aren't meant to be competing in European finals. The top teams in the top 5 leagues in Europe, that's in France, Italy, Germany, Spain and England, they have the financial muscle to buy their way to success. To give you an example, RB Leipzig, Rangers' opponents last night, their squad cost 200 million quid. Rangers is a fraction of that, about 20 million pounds. So the gulf is absolutely huge. And let's not forget, Sharon, this was a club 10 years ago which was on its knees when it was plunged into administration, then liquidation. It was then admitted into the lower leagues, worked its way back up, and 12 days' time, they now have the chance to compete for a European final. It's almost inconceivable that they'll have the chance to do so.
Well, thanks very much, Rahman. It's certainly a busy 12 days ahead. The rest of the sport is coming up later in the programme.
OK, Sharon, a pretty momentous occasion at Ibrox. Thank you.
Now to today's other top story, and counting is continuing in the local council elections. Votes were cast yesterday, counting started this morning, and results have been coming back for the last few hours. A total of 1,227 councillors are being elected in 32 local authorities.
So with the declarations having been made, how's it looking so far? Well, if you take a look at our map, it gives you an idea of the current picture. The SNP and Labour made gains, as have the Greens and Lib Dems, while the Tories look like the main losers. Here's the current breakdown of councillors elected across the country. As you can see, the SNP well out in front as the biggest party in local government. Labour picked up seats too and move up to second place. The Conservatives fell back, while both the Lib Dems and Greens have made progress. Our political editor, Colin Mackay, has been monitoring the results.
Election results days are full of the joy of winning. And the despair of defeat. The biggest losers were without a doubt the Conservatives, losing seats right across Scotland and slipping to third place, although they made some gains in Aberdeenshire and the Murray base of the Scottish Party leader Douglas Ross. He blamed Boris Johnson and Partygate for losses in the rest of the country.
Clearly the public have made their view very well known, and we as a party, and I'm sure the Prime Minister has to look at that, but I've also said during the conflict at this critical stage in Ukraine, it's not the time to destabilise the UK government and go through an elongated leadership election which would last several months.
Labour leapfrogged the Tories to second place.
What's very clear is Labour is back on the pitch, Labour is winning seats again, Labour is making gains again. We're winning in parts of the country that we haven't won in for a very, very long time. But I want us to move forward. As I say, I don't aspire for second, I aspire for first.
Will you be talking to other parties though? Maybe not in an official more in a cooperation rather than an official.
Well, I've already made clear I don't support formal coalitions with other political parties. This is about us changing the way we do local democracy, and I think it's right that we maximise Labour councils across the country and Labour councils across the country.
The electoral system for councils makes it difficult for any party to get a majority. Last time round there was none in Scotland, which meant that every council was either minority or a coalition. But there will be some majority administrations, Labour in West Dunbartonshire and the SNP in Dundee. And the SNP remain out in front across Scotland. They're by some margin the biggest party in terms of seats and share of vote in Scotland's councils.
I'm thrilled and very proud at the SNP result today. You know, after 15 years in government, we've not only won this election overwhelmingly, we've increased our share of the vote, increased the number of councillors that we elected, and I think we're largest party in more councils today than we were yesterday. So it's a stupendous result for the SNP.
But there have been good results for the Lib Dems and Greens too. The Lib Dems did particularly well in Edinburgh.
Look at my face, we're back. The Liberal Democrat revival was always going to start in local government. That revival starts today. I am over the moon.
The Greens now have councillors right across Scotland and could be power brokers in both Edinburgh and Glasgow.
If you look at some of the areas like Hellhead and Pollokshields, where we've done the best that we've ever done in Glasgow, it's the hard graft, the hard work of local councillors who really make a connection with their local community and serve their constituents. And that's what local politics should be about.
Now the votes have been cast and counted, deals still need to be done to see how most of Scotland's councils will be run.
So Colin, now we've got that big picture, any surprises?
Absolutely. Glasgow went right down to the wire. It came down to the last result before we worked out who had won there. The SNP emerging as the biggest party in Glasgow, but only by one councillor. So the biggest party there, biggest party in Edinburgh and Aberdeen as well. They've actually going to come out of this election with more councillors than they've ever had before. Labour in second place, that's a big boost for them, beating the Tories into third, but nowhere near replacing the number of councillors they lost last time. 5 years ago, they lost 183. This time they've probably regained a fraction of that, but big news for them, I suppose, in Western Bartonshire. Jackie Baillie, the Deputy Leader's home turf, winning big there and getting a majority. The Tories, a bad night almost everywhere, and the former Tory MSP Adam Tompkins is saying that the blame for this has to lie at Douglas Ross's door. I don't think there were many people went into the polling booths yesterday thinking that they were going to send a message to Douglas Ross. Probably most of them didn't know he was. They were going to send a message to Boris Johnson. Good night for the Lib Dems and the Greens as well, both making progress, but right now it looks like Alba is pretty much dead in the water with no councillors.
And what of the rest of the UK?
Well, again, bad news for the Conservatives, losing big in London and Westminster and Wandsworth. Seats, the councils they've held for donkey's years, since the 60s and 70s, but Labour not looking like they're winning big enough to actually win a general election. But what now for Boris Johnson? What will he make of the voters' verdict on him?
Okay, we will find out in the days and weeks to come. Colin, thank you. Now, for a closer look at what's been happening in the West, our political correspondent Ewan Petrie joins us. Ewan, a day of drama in Glasgow.
Oh, it certainly was, Gordon. We knew it was going to be close here, but I don't think many people predicted just how tight it would be between Labour and the SNP. As Colin said, it went right down to the wire. That final declaration where the SNP picked up 2 seats, Labour 1, meaning the SNP hold on to their position as the largest party here in Glasgow by the narrowest of margins. Now, that doesn't automatically mean that the party will continue to run this local authority. The Greens had their best performance here in Glasgow that they've ever had. They picked up 10 seats, so nothing will be finalised until both Labour and the SNP have had the opportunity to hold any discussions that they want to with that party, to come to some kind of arrangement with them. So it was a victory for the SNP in terms of numbers, but not everything went their way. Their leader, Susan Aiken, was beaten to first place in her own ward, and they did lose some key figures. And since this was a campaign fought more than many others on local issues, there may well be some fallout for the leadership in the days ahead.
Plenty of stories still to come out of that one. Ewan, thank you.
Now to our political reporter Laura Alderman, who's been at the Count in Edinburgh.
Well, what a day of highs and lows it's been here in Edinburgh and at the Count. Here in Edinburgh, the SNP retained all 19 of their seats, and the City Council leader, Adam McVeigh, was re-elected back to his ward in Leith. Labour gained 1 seat, meaning they now have 13 seats, and the Deputy Leader, Cammy Day, was also re-elected back to his ward. There were some great big stonking gains from the Liberal Democrats. They managed to double their number of councillors from 6 to 12, and the Scottish Greens gained 2 extra, bringing their total to 10. But by far, the real shock of today was those results from the Scottish Conservatives. They've lost half of their seats in Edinburgh. Perhaps those national issues dogging the party, we can see them again trickling down to these local elections. But the SNP remains the largest party, but they don't have overall control. So it could come down to a coalition. Pollsters are saying it could be an SNP Green coalition, but whoever runs this council and others across Scotland, parties will be hashing that out this weekend and next week.
And you can see more on how the days unfolded on our website or download our app.
Another story across Scotland, and a further 8 children have been diagnosed with hepatitis as the outbreak grows. There have been 22 cases since January and 1 child had to have a liver transplant. Public Health Scotland is encouraging good hand and respiratory hygiene and says parents should contact their GP if they notice symptoms, which include jaundice.
Newsagent Chain McCall's has collapsed into administration. Last-minute talks with lenders fell through, putting 16,000 jobs at risk across the UK. It has more than 150 stores. Locals on Lewis were given a preview screening of The Road Dance, a film shot and set on the island starring Morven Christie and Hermione Corfield.
Laura Boyd took a trip to the Western Isles to find out what impact having the movie shot there had on the community. And of course, it was written by someone you might just know.
Set at the beginning of World War I and based on the true story of Kirsty MacLeod's love and loss, as told in the book by John Mackay, The Road Dance will be released in cinemas on the 20th of May. But lucky locals here in Lewis got a special screening of the movie early to see the film that was shot right here on their doorstep.
Kirsty, where are you?
What sort of incident? Now, it was actually filmed here at the Black House Village, and the film not only brought a touch of Hollywood to the Outer Hebrides, it also brought a much-needed financial boost at a time when the island was largely cut off due to COVID.
We had literally no income coming in, and they had to be placed to themselves, really, and we got a bit of money out of it. So all round, it was really good.
When films shoot on location like this, you see the real landscapes and scenery on the big screen, which is an advert for Scotland that money couldn't buy.
This is the landscape and the people that inspired the story of the Road Dance, so to bring it back here and let the local community see it before most other people have seen it is thrilling, absolutely thrilling.
You're going to be having a wee dram to celebrate tonight?
May have had a wee dram already.
I thought
so. No, I don't need any artificial stimulant today. This is just a special, special day.
And the Road Dance clearly had a special effect on the audience.
Really good, thoroughly enjoyed it. Very moving.
Mirgalach and howling. It was just fabulous, absolutely beautiful.
But the most important review of all came from John's Auntie Ina.
Lovely, it was really good. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Very proud indeed.
You can't ask for more than that. Laura Boyd, STV News.
Time for sport, and back to Raman at Ibrox.
Get your fill of the action. STV Sport, sponsored by Papa John's Pizza.
Hello again from Ibrox. Tonight, it's no doubt still sinking in for some Rangers fans that their team have qualified for the Europa League final in Seville on May the 18th. Their manager, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, described last night as one of the proudest moments of his career.
Very proud for the performance of my team. The interaction with the fans today was amazing. I played so many games here as a player and from last November as a manager, but the atmosphere today was incredible. That helped us a lot.
Come around all the time, and it's a sake of trying to enjoy them and take it in while you can, but you obviously want to chase that next step. And for us, that was the sake of tonight. We want to chase the next step again to the final. And
used to play for Mainz, which is a little derby, or not a little derby. They quite have a rivalry with Eintracht Frankfurt. So for me, it's personal as well. So I have to make two teams proud, but I'm very confident that with this group, with this bunch of players, we can achieve that big dream that everybody now has and had before the game even.
Borussia Dortmund, Red Star Belgrade, Braga and now RB Leipzig all disposed of in the road to Seville. These Rangers players are already heroes in the eyes of their supporters. Now they're just one game away from becoming legends. Ronnie Charters, STV News.
Well, joining us now is Rangers legend Ali McCoist. Always good to have you on STV News at 6, Ali. What did last night mean to you?
Rahman, it was quite unbelievable and it was amazing to be inside that stadium. I went there last night full of hope and certainly a degree of optimism. But the way it worked out, I think, was beyond everybody's wildest dreams. It was an amazing, amazing night, and one of the greatest nights I think the old stadium's seen in many a year.
You're sounding a bit hoarse there, Ali. How has Giovanni Van Bronckhorst managed to take this team to a European final?
It's amazing. I think I was hoarse the last time I spoke to you as well, Rahman, just for the record. It's amazing what he's achieved. It really is. I think a lot of the work, a lot of credit must also go to Steven Gerrard, who brought in a lot of the players. But the way that Giovanni Van Bronckhorst has moulded the side into a team effectively, didn't have a centre forward last night, and without probably one of the better players, Aaron Ramsey, 2 central defenders get booked. You know, he can play 3 at the back with Lindstrom dropping back in 1. He can play Lindstrom in a 2 with Ryan Jack. He's got the ability to change things. And the one thing that is really evident, Rahman, he's installed a belief and a camaraderie and a spirit within the side that's truly remarkable.
Just finally, Ali, it's Eintracht Frankfurt in the final. How do you rate Rangers' chances?
Well, I've got a chance. I think Frankfurt will still start favourites, that's for sure, Rahman. But you can argue they've knocked out better teams in Dortmund and Leipzig, but not be underestimated. Any team that wins in Barcelona ain't be too bad, that's for sure, Rahman.
Indeed. Ali McCoys, thanks very much for joining us on the STV News at 6. Well, we're hearing tonight that there will be 9,500 Rangers fans in the stadium in Seville. That's their official allocation. Now let's now get some more reaction to last night's win and what it means for Scottish football.
Really proud of everyone connected to Rangers last night. It was a fantastic game to watch, and listen, it's thoroughly deserved. The journey they've been on, Gio and the boys and everyone connected to the club deserve an awful lot of credit, and one step to go. Obviously I'll be supporting from afar, and I wish them all well.
Yeah, I thought they deserved to get through the final, and I think it says that they're a very good football team, which I think they proved last year by going through the season undefeated, which is no mean feat, and this year with their strong performances in pretty much all the competitions.
It was just a marvellous historical another chapter in Rangers history, and you kind of you take it for granted a wee bit at times, but last night all the dreams come true again, and the way we've been threatening Europe over the last couple of years, we've finally made it happen to get to this sensational final stage.
Well, I mean, I watched the game obviously, and was in close contact with a lot of my friends that are Rangers supporters with text during the game, and I have to say at the end it brought a tear to my eye. I'm not exaggerating. I was so happy for them. It was just absolutely magnificent for Rangers, and obviously it reflects well and brilliantly on Scottish football.
We've been knocked for a number of years about Scottish football, but you can see it's definitely on the up. Teams doing well in Europe, Rangers qualifying for a final, national team getting to the Euros, a couple of games away for the World Cup. So it's great for Scottish football. I watched the game last night. I thought it was a real entertaining game, and to Rangers' credit, they've got to a Europa League final, which is enormous for Scottish football.
Braga, Dortmund, Red Star, these performances, and Leipzig last night might just make them the favourites. That's a situation that you would never have expected 10 years ago, where the club were. Probably after the start of this campaign, you would have thought they would never been.
Well, that is all your sport from Ibrox the day after Rangers booked their place in the Europa League final. For more reaction, go to our website, stv.tv/sport.
Get your fill of the action. STV Sports, sponsored by Papa John's Pizza.
Philip has the weather.
The outlook for the day is calm and settled. TUI Blue Hotels sponsor STV Weather.
Well, as we head through the rest of this evening into the overnight period, to begin with, we will see 1 or 2 showers around. Those will eventually start to clear eastwards, fade away, and for many it does turn dry, and we could see some clear skies. So where we've got the clear conditions, could see some mist and fog patches forming, temperatures possibly getting down close to freezing in some rural spots, so we can't rule out the odd touch of frost in places. But for most areas, getting down to around 5 or 6 degrees Celsius. Now looking ahead to tomorrow, like I've been saying all week, we've got high pressure building across the country. That becomes our dominating force for the weather. So overall, a fine and settled day to come. Lots of sunshine through the course of the afternoon. Light winds, and it remains generally dry. It's not until late afternoon that we start to see just 1 or 2 showers pepping up across central southern areas. Temperature-wise, in the best of the brightness, feeling warm, highs of 15 or 16 degrees Celsius. Now looking ahead to Sunday, unfortunately things go downhill once again. We've got fronts moving in from the north and west, bringing with it some quite strong winds and further showery outbreaks of rain. Southern and eastern areas will stay driest and brightest for longest, with temperatures reaching highs of around 16 or 17 degrees Celsius. By Monday, we've got low pressure close to the country. That's pushing in further fronts, so again it will be a wet and cloudy day to start the new week, and feeling a little bit cooler, highs of 15. Bye-bye.
TUI Blue Hotels, sponsor STV Weather.
Finally tonight, after 2 years, Gourock's outdoor pool is back with a splash, and just in time for the Scottish summer.
Yes, the popular venue closed during the pandemic, but today the first brave swimmers headed back for the water, and Vanessa Taff was there.
Big Splash is back, and it's bigger than ever. After a 2-year break because of the pandemic, the annual opening of the Gourock outdoor pool saw locals togging out and getting into the practically balmy 29-degree water here, and local youngsters say they're delighted it's back.
So everyone just laughing and having a good time in it. I enjoy it just because everyone's there and we do it like every year, so it's fun to do it.
It was cold, but yeah, it was good.
Probably just jumping in and feeling cold. Yeah. Probably saltwater because there's not much pools like it. I really like the diving boards, it's great fun. Yeah, I like jumping in the water. I just like diving on the big diving board over there, that's just my favourite part.
It means a lot to a lot of customers. The one thing we've noticed having come out of COVID is the increase in swimming as an activity. There's a bigger interest in it. So I know it'll mean a lot to customers to come back and get in the water.
Well, while the sun is shining here at the moment, it's not quite the summer weather yet, but there's no better way to get into the seasonal spirit than by taking an outdoor dip. Vanessa Taff, STV News, Gourock!
Oh, I'd rather than me, it looks freezing.
Yeah, they've got the weekend to warm up, and we'll see you again on Monday at 6. Bye-bye.
Bye.